It's no secret that most people receive little or no financial education in school. So it's no surprise we have a population that doesn't really understand how to effectively use money to save and invest. Well, Terry Wheeler is passionate about teaching young people the tools they need to grow wealth. I'm Patrice Sikora with Terry Wheeler. Terry, explain why this is so important to you.
Well, hi, Patrice. I'm very excited about this episode because this is the one that's very important to me. It's a passion to try to teach people how to build wealth properly. And I grew up in kind of a really traditional blue collar environment where my mom was a telephone operator at 18 and worked there all the way until she retired in her early 50s. My dad, my mom and dad were divorced, so we were a traditional broken family, but he was actually pretty involved with us too. Folks were great friends, just not good at being married. But he worked for Kenworth Trucks, and he was a parts manager there for over 30 years until he retired. So growing up, my brother and I really learned work ethic, and that's one of the most valuable traits they gave to us. And that work ethic we applied very differently than they did. So we saw how hard they were working, that they really didn't love their jobs. It was a way to get a paycheck, way to raise us, way to have a life, but they didn't love it. They dreaded going to work many days. So many can relate to that. And along the way, we thought there might be a better way. And I grew up kind of a Monopoly kid, and I loved playing Monopoly. I can't say I was an avid reader at the very young age, but as I became a young adult, I became a very avid reader. And I started to learn how to build wealth. So I ended up going to San Diego State University to become a financial planner, graduated with some debt due to a engine that blew up, and I was putting myself through school, so it caused some challenges. And the debt was about $10,000, which is about $25,000 in today's dollars. It was very difficult to pay that back. I was finally getting a paycheck, but I had to pay back all this debt, and it was painful. So I started really learning the concept of good versus bad debt, which we'll talk a lot about in the course. And then fast forward, I ended up going to law school to learn more about tax and wealth planning and apply the legal side of it. And I accumulated $105,000 in debt, which at that point I thought was good debt. It was for my future. Now, many would argue whether going into debt for college education is good or bad debt, but it did work out quite well for me. And I ended up doing some strategies, and we're going to do a case study on what I did. And I paid the debt off within just over 4 years. And that wasn't through earnings, that was through investing. So that's why I'm so passionate. It's really made a massive effect on my life and my family's life. You'll see right now I'm sitting in a place in Tahoe that is the result of multiple flips, where we like to buy and fix up real estate is one of the many things we do. So we're going to cover everything from the basics to the very advanced. So that's where I get my passion for it. Bit of a long-winded answer, but hopefully that helps.
Well, what exactly are the basics that you hope to teach people?
Sure. So this course is going to be designed to really be applicable to kids that are, I've got triplets that are 14. They've been trading stocks for 3 to 4 years now. So it's going to apply for somebody that is, I would say age 8 to 10 is getting on the early side, but 10 to 12, all the way up to the 25, 30, 35-year-old that never learned this stuff. It could even help a 50-year-old that never learned this stuff. Mm-hmm. But we're going to start with the fundamentals, and that's what this first course is about. So we're going to talk about the value of saving early. How much should you be saving out of your paycheck or your earnings? We're going to cover concepts like time value of money, compound interest, the effective fees. Warren Buffett's famous for saying the first rule of investing is don't lose money. And the second rule is don't forget rule number 1. We're going to show and teach strategies to actually put that into real world applications. And we're going to take it from the basics, which are less exciting to talk about, but are very important, all the way to concepts where we talk about leverage. We talk about creating win-win situations, entrepreneurial situations, real estate. So we're going to start again. This first course is going to cover all the basic tools they need to know how to invest, how to save for their future, and why it's so important. But we will be following this course up with much more advanced, where they can go all the way to where we're thinking about actually flipping a house as part of the course and showing people from the beginning to the end, maybe even have the listeners have some insight or some input as to which house we buy to flip. And we'll definitely be doing some stock projects and trading and stuff to get them doing that, whether it be paper or if they can, or their parents can seed them with I seeded our kids with $1,000 each. And that's what they've been trading stocks with. So you don't need a whole lot to be able to put together portfolios, because now with fractional interest and stuff, you can put together a portfolio very inexpensively to get started.
That's quite an age range that you're talking about here. How are you going to deal with that? And will a 12-year-old care about this?
Sure. So I think their parents will care because their parents know how important this is. So it's funny seeing my kids will be talking about their portfolio, their stocks to other kids. And countless parents have come up to me saying, what the heck are they doing? And I tell them, I gave them each $1,000. I teach them a little bit about stocks, and they buy things that are of interest to them. And I can't tell you how many parents in the Granite Bay area, which is where I'm from or where I live now, that are doing this now with their kids. And it's a phenomenal learning experience. So the wide age range, the course is going to be set up to where you have to know the fundamentals or you're not going to understand the more advanced. So for somebody who's never learned it and they're 50, this is actually the starting point they should be at. But we're going to be teaching really to the 12 to 14-year-old on up, but they're pretty darn smart at 12 to 14-year-olds. So it's not like I'm talking to them much differently than I'm talking to you. It's crazy how smart these kids are these days. So we're just going to start with concepts. And this is a course I've developed for my clients' kids in our wealth planning practice. So as we've gone through this, we've decided through a foundation that I run called We Care, it's going to make it available to students, and we're going to try to make it available to schools once it's completed. But for now, anybody who wants to enroll can either attend the courses live or on demand. So we'll see how it goes. There might be some topics that I teach a version for younger kids and a version that's going to be for, maybe your 20-somethings. But the foundational concepts are going to apply to everybody. But this is just about to kick off here in the first part of February will be the first course. So we will adjust as we go and make sure that it fits the audience. We're planning on also bringing in some challenges and gamification and stuff in the membership website where people can watch these courses. So that'll be fun to see what other people are doing, especially once we get stock contests and things like that going.
Okay. Stock contests. Oh, I like that one. Yeah. Now you said this is going to be live and on demand?
Yeah, so we're going to teach it live, but then we'll make the recording available so that somebody that starts the course in July can go at their own pace. So we'll have a preset pace, or they can actually just binge if they want. So the courses will be rolling out, of course, on a regular basis. But if you are catching up, similar to Netflix, if you're watching last season, you can binge and watch them all in one sitting if you want. So I know that. I know the binge Netflix all too well.
Yeah, Terry Wheeler and the Great British Baking Show, right?
Yeah.
All right. Now, how can people get into the course, number one, and how many weeks will it be, or how many sessions will it be?
Sure. So in the links below, we'll try to put a QR code and or a link so that you can register for it. So you've got to register it and have an email is the one requirement. There is no fee for the course. You'll see when you go in, if somebody wants to donate to help educate the young adults, they can, but we're not charging any fee. We want the kids just to be able to get the benefit of the information. So that is going to start in February. The courses are going to be rolled out on a fairly regular basis. We're finalizing the schedule, but probably once every 2 weeks. I'm hesitant to commit to do it every week, but I really want the information to get out there faster. So once every 2 weeks seems slow to me. So we'll probably have some coursework that is only available on demand because we'll record it, not live, but we'll just put it into the site. So when people register, they will be notified regularly every time a new course is either scheduled or is put out live so they can watch it on demand.
And I think you mentioned something about taking this into classrooms. Have you thought about how you would do that?
Yeah. So to be honest, I'm going to try to start with I grew up in an area called Rancho Cordova, which was military, lower middle class. I'm going to try to start by working with the schools that I actually went to, from junior high up to high school. And then we're going to craft it. I've got family members that are in the administration for schooling, and I've got some clients that actually do education programs for schooling. We're going to try to craft it to see what they need and want. The key is I don't want to go by their curriculum. I mean, I want to teach what's actually, in my opinion, actually works. And not that they're not teaching things that are valuable, but they don't ever get into actual wealth building in a effective manner. That's what this course is going to be about, real life. So this course is something that really we'd try to get the schools to make it available to their kids, but it wouldn't be actually part of curriculum. It would be something that parents would be notified of. They can enroll their kids, and it'll be driven a bit by what the schools are after and what they want. I think parents primarily are going to drive this, and they're going to see it in social media and through other kids that have taken the course. And that's really what will cause it to ultimately get out there and pick up steam.
Is there anyone who influenced you to do this, or did you have any mentors that planted the seed or nurtured the seed that was yours?
Yeah, and that's really part of what drives me here is I want to become that mentor for others. But my mentors were a combination of a few key true mentors in my life, but most of it was actually books. Meaning Rich Dad, Poor Dad is when I started with after Monopoly. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad puts out a game that's kind of like Monopoly on steroids that teaches about good debt, bad debt. And our kids have been playing it since they were younger because I wanted them to learn finance. So they will talk to other kids about good debt and bad debt. So the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that was a starting point. It's basic, but good information. All the way to the entrepreneurial type things, which we've worked a lot with a group that Dan Sullivan has a number of books out as well as coursework, and we were part of the Strategic Coach Entrepreneurial Program. I attended the Asperty Peterson and Michigan State University Wealth Institute after law school. That's all about really more effective ways to build wealth, manage taxes, and keep more of what you make. 7 Habits. So Covey has a number of books, but 7 Habits was one. And then there's a study, I'm forgetting the name of the book, but basically every self-help guru out there is simply copying a study that was done. It was a college course that was done, I think, in the 50s. And there's a book on this, and I apologize, I'm forgetting the name, but I'll post it. That we read that entire book. So when you look at really any of these self-help gurus and goal setters, almost all of it is not a ripoff. It's repurposing what this study did years and years ago about success. And they studied some of the most successful people in America and what it made to become, or what it took to become successful. So I think books were my single biggest resource. And then I had mentors along the way, everything from some advisors that were really good at how they went about investing when I was in my early 20s at Dean Witter, all the way to, I had a mentor named Gary Curry he had built a big business in the financial area, but he was really a business owner, ended up developing tech companies, just a really phenomenal entrepreneur, a never-ending glasses half full type individual, always encouraging you, pushing you up. Those types of people just have lasting impacts. So I've been fortunate to have some exposure to those individuals along the way.
Big question for you now. Do you have a title for the course?
So right now, our working title is Financial Foundations, teaching young minds the fundamental tools they need to understand and build wealth. So the fundamentals will be first, but the exciting part is once you really master these fundamentals, and then we get into how you actually apply it. Our goal is that this is not going to be a course that ends. It's going to be a course that just builds upon itself and will ultimately not end, but it will result in case studies because I'm constantly dealing with real estate, business, entrepreneurial. We'll use mine and other groups that are doing business ideas. We'll have guests ultimately that will show some ideas that they can give people that want to become an entrepreneur. So all of this is much more advanced. We want to begin with just training people about the fundamentals because you have to have the foundation to be able to get to the more exciting and really powerful wealth building techniques. But we will ultimately get to those and cover them and conduct some experiments sort of live. So I do plan on doing live approaches so they can see what works and what doesn't work. Because one thing you'll learn in investing, if you don't know already, is you will have failures along the way. The key is you manage the size of those failures, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and you learn from it and you continue on. And if you can do that, you'll be successful. But it's always those who are good at getting back up after they're knocked down that become successful because everybody gets knocked down.
All right. And just to recap, you'll have contact information in the show notes, correct? On how to get into
We're going to
course?
put a link to register. And I really recommend the parents take the course along with their kids so they can talk about it. So it's not just limited to the kids. Anybody who wants to take the course can. But the best way this will work, and we're going to tell the kids this in the first course, is get your parents to do it, or you're going to be talking about concepts that they may not even understand. And it may be that they understand it, but it's a different language we're using. So to the degree that they actually get involved, and ideally, once we get to stocks, they have either paper trading, which we'll show them how to do, or they actually trade with a small amount of money and they really trade stocks. It just creates tremendous life lessons. And you'll see my kids, the triplets, and I've got 2 older girls. You'll see them in various videos and parts of the training. They will be going through also. And in areas, I'll interview them and they'll tell some of their stories of their stocks. No doubt how some of them went up and then shot down and they should have sold. The ones that are making the most money will be bragging about it. We'll probably even have them give their balances. So it's fun. So they don't, I'm going to have to twist their arms a little bit to do this, especially those that have their stocks down. They don't see the value in talking about their losses, but that's really where you learn the most. You learn the most when things go wrong and what are you going to do to fix it next time? So
I'm sure you could come up with a financial incentive.
Yes. Well, we're actually going to, when we do these real contests, we're going to have prizes. So we're already talking about who can we have to sponsor and to do some things that we can give out to the participants. Just little tokens. So we'll have a leaderboard and it'll be fun as we go. But we first have to get through all the basics. And personally, I would like to get through them. Ideally, if we could get through the basics in about a 12-week period and then get into the fun stuff, that's kind of our rough target. But we want it to be quality over speed. So I'm roughing out all the different concepts that we want to cover. And we'll just hit on a handful each time. We'll have exercises and homework, so to speak, so that they really understand it. They'll be doing some math, of course. Those that don't know how, we'll be teaching them how to use the proper calculators and things of that nature. So we really want them to come away with not only learning something to quote unquote pass the course. This isn't for college credit or anything. It's for life experience. We want them to come away with things they can actually use in real life. And if we do that and we can help some become a success, and that's the goal of the course.
Terry, that sounds so very exciting. It really does. I can't wait to see the kids and the parents that get involved in this.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Yeah, and the best way to register is actually not through our wealth planning site. It's through We Care. So it's called We Care Entrepreneurial Foundation. I'll post the link below. We chose a very wordy website, unfortunately. So I'm going to post the link. You can click on it, and there is a link right there where you can register. We'll also, as we mentioned earlier, try to post the link directly to the registration form. And I think we can do a QR code where you can just do it from your phone also. So we're going to get all that in the show links below, and they will also be on the We Care website. They're already actually up and running there. So we'll try to make it as easy as possible to get your kids involved and to benefit. And again, I really encourage you, if it's probably more adult listeners on this podcast, and it will go out to all my clients they're really they're the motivation for this. And what I mean by that is we're trying to teach the next generation. We're working with multiple generations for our clients. This course is for all of my clients' kids. But if we're going to do it, why not give it to everybody? So that's why we're going to distribute it through the We Care Foundation as a free course. But there's going to be a little different version that's going to my clients' kids, most of whom are adults. So we're going to be teaching the older version, so to speak, to them. And then maybe we'll make that available to the general public. But We Care is really focused on the kids through young 20s. So that's going to be the focus of this course. But again, I fully anticipate a 50-year-old that is not used to investing would get a lot out of it. So just jump right in and see if it's helpful to you.
I love it. As I say, it does sound very exciting. All right, so you know where you're going to be able to get the links for the course. But Terry, is there another way they can get in touch with you if they've got other things they want to discuss with you?
They can just reach out to me at the office. So we have a information form where if you just want to submit questions because it's late, and our email addresses are at our financial planning website, which is so that's WERIA advisors.com. And you can just reach out to me at 916-325-0130. And we are going to get other entrepreneurs and other people to tell their stories as we get into the advanced stages. So that's going to get really fun after we get through the foundations. So it's going to be exciting. Some of them will be here on the podcast with us too. So we look forward to getting this launched and hopefully getting some good stories from people that apply it and hearing some of their successes.
All right, folks. Be here for those stories, be here for the class, and follow Terry's podcast to know when the new show is ready for you. Of course, share it with others as well. I'm Patrice Sikora, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you for listening to We Money Talk with Terry Wheeler. Be sure to click the follow button to be notified as new episodes become available. Information presented is for educational purposes only. No listener should assume that any discussions or information presented serves as the receipt of or substitute for personalized advice from We Alliance Wealth Advisors, Inc. or from any other investment professional and is not intended as an offer of solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. We Alliance Wealth Advisors, Inc. is not a law firm or accounting firm, and no portion of this podcast should be interpreted as legal, accounting, or tax advice. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not appropriate for every individual. Listeners are encouraged to seek advice from qualified tax, legal, or investment advisors to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation.